Okay, in this video I'm going to show how I do my Jigsaw tools setup. You can see here on my screen that at the left hand side of my window I've got my charts. I use an 800 tick chart for CL and a 2000 tick chart for ES, and I use price action to help me determine entries and setups. Now next to those charts I have the respective Jigsaw trading tools windows, and immediately next to the chart I have the strength meter, and you'll notice my CL setup is a little bit different from my ES setup. On the CL I actually have two reconstructed tapes. I find that a little bit more handy and useful for me. I have a large order reconstructed tape that is set to anything over 10 orders. It'll show up there, and then anything under 10 orders will show up in my next one. And I'll show you how to set that up. And then of course I have my depth and sales and then my summary tape. For ES I have a strength meter. I have a large trade reconstructed tape, the depth and sales, and the summary tape. Now there's not much to the strength meter. You can just basically reset it anytime you want. This is good to kind of see where executions are coming from, either on the buy side or sell side. The way my reconstructed tape is set up, just going up here and taking a look at my CL, I have a size filter set to 10 and a block trade set to 35, and that'll come in play in just a second. I'll kind of show how that works. My consolidation mode on this is large trades, and this consolidation mode is what kind of drives that filter parameter. So because I have large trade consolidation mode, what this is saying is anything above 10 trades, print it here in this reconstructed tape. Over here on my alerts, I have a block trade alert. I can also put a marker on, but for now I just have a block trade alert, and I have an audio alert as well. So anything that comes in, back to these settings, anything that comes in 35 or above is going to get a highlight, and I'm going to get an audio alert. So you can see here 69, 38, 62 had some large trades that came in. This is good for kind of identifying those very big ones. My other reconstructed tape is for small trades, and notice I have the same filter, a size filter of 10, but I'm only looking at small trades, and so that's what's causing this to, anything less than 10 trades, it'll print those. And my algorithm, I have fuzzy for both. That's kind of their newer algorithm, and I just assume that's the better one. I have my alert set to really nothing at all, just the defaults. I don't have a block trade alert because this is my small reconstructed tape, and it's not necessary for that. Now the summary tape is that's where you want to kind of put in information about your how you want to be alerted with regards to iceberg orders. So I'm going to open this up, and you can see here when I go to my alerts tab, I've got 3 additional sub-tabs: divergence, iceberg, and large quantity. I really don't use divergence and large quantity a lot yet. I'm still getting the gist of some of the basic tools. If I go to iceberg, you can see I have the alert set, my minimum quantity, and my plot is turned on, and so that's what causes these arrows to show up on the chart. Is this plot feature here. Now a little bit about the the numbers I use. I use 40 for iceberg orders on the CL. Sometimes I use 30. Sometimes I use 35. A lot of it depends on the day and kind of the volume for the day, how active traders are. I'm sure I'll have days where I need to increase that to 50. So you just kind of want to see and get an idea of the number that works about right. So in today's market, 40 was pretty good. Sometime I might have to go down to 35 or increase it as well. Fonts and colors, again, a lot of the fonts and color stuff I haven't messed with the exception I did change some of the fonts, which you can probably tell. Put a different font that I like. The ES setup is pretty close to the same, with the exception of I don't have a small trade reconstructed tape. I've got the strength meter. I've got a large trade reconstructed tape, and my size filter there is set to 100. My block trade there is set to 500, and again my large trades fuzzy algorithm. Come here to my alerts. I've got my block trade alert set. So now anything with more than 500 lot trade is going to highlight for me. I'm going to get an audio alert. And my size filter for this reconstructed tape is 100. I just didn't want to see all the smaller trades as they flow through. That could get really distracting for ES, and I'm not sure that it provides me a lot of value. The summary tape, again, the other thing I should note is I do have the show depth feature selected. If I take this off, you'll see that the little numbers in the parentheses don't show up. I'm still experimenting with summary tape. I don't have a very good feel for how I can use it to my benefit, so I'm still kind of messing around with it. The alerts here, divergence in large quantity, again, I don't really mess with right now. I expect that to change in the future. I'll start playing around a bit more and seeing how they can help me. The iceberg, I have the alert set to 500. I've reduced that as low as 300 in some markets, and I do have it set to plot. So, just be aware. I think 300 is in the manual for Jigsaw tools, is kind of a good starting point. I tried that. I got a lot of signals, so I've kind of increased that. 400 to 500 seem to be pretty good for me. So I like seeing them at that level. That's going to be something that you have to decide and get a feel for. And then, of course, my depth in sales. So my depth in sales, you can see that I've got basically the same layout between CL and ES. And this first column is a histogram of the bid and ask offers, and it's a really cool feature that's in the depth and sales. So the big histogram bar represents the number of either offers or bids. So if it's red, it's the offers, and if it's blue, it's representing the bids. And that's these inside columns here. Now, as we know from Jigsaw tools, we get a very good idea of when offers are being pulled or bids are being pulled or versus added to. So when a price moves to a particular level, there's a certain number of bids and offers already in the book at that level. And if you see a bunch of traders that come in and start to either add to or take away from those initial bids and offers, this will keep track of that. So the large histogram, again, is the bids and offers in the book. The smaller one, this is the one that's telling me whether bids or offers are being added to or taken away. So if it's blue, then there are contracts, limit orders being added. If it's red, they're being subtracted. So you can see minus 800 roughly. You can see this big red, smaller histogram show up. It's a very nice visual example. When you have a fast-moving market, you can't follow all the numbers. You can see, the general strength. So generally, we see, there are more offers right now. Offers are being pulled. The bids are strengthening a little bit. So you can kind of get that visual representation. This second column is really just for the trading mechanism and feature here. So, if I put in a trade here, I'll have it show up here and let me know what my trade is. I did forget to mention that this column allows you to put in text. So if there are significant areas that are important for you, strength, support and resistance, whatever, you can, put in whatever text you want here to just kind of give you a visual clue to what's going on. Back to this third column here, this is my market profile column. So it keeps track of all of the executions that take place in the course of a trading session and then plots them. So we can see here at 58.75, there were 64,676 trade executions there, buys and sells, and then it plots a histogram. So you can see that. And then, of course, you have the price levels, and anything in gray are things that have traded, and it's traded at that price, and if it's in black, it hasn't traded at that price yet. Now, these next two columns, these tell me about my bids that are going on in the book. The inside blue column over here is showing me the actual bids in the book, and the outside blue column is showing me kind of a count of whether there are bids being added to or subtracted from the original bid that was in the book. So I can see here roughly 240 some bids have been taken away at the 59.75 level when it moved into there. And of course, this is dynamic. It's constantly changing. The kind of the inverse is true for the red side. These just relate to offers. So, offers are on the inside. The offers being pulled and added to are on the outside. Really nice visual cue of what's, going on from the bid offer level. This the inside part here, where what these numbers are, is these numbers are actually calculating the number of executions hitting either the bid or the offer. So right, we just had 19. We've got 19 hitting the bid at this level. And what happens with this is that if price moves away from the price area and then back into it, it'll reset that count. And so this thing is constantly updating, constantly changing. So this 896, if price moves back down again, the 896 is going to disappear, and it'll start recounting again. This column, these two columns over here, these are kind of a running total of those two inside ones. So these don't change when price moves from one level to another. The only time that they would get zeroed out is if you hit this button right up here, which is clear total trades. Then all of this will get cleared out, right? And one thing that I should note from a layout perspective, everything is pretty much the same kind of standard from the Jigsaw Tools perspective. I did move this column here around. Originally, this column was right over here. And I like to compare the running bids and offers when I'm in a trade or when I'm looking at a key area. I like to compare what's going on between the executions. And it's hard to do it when you've got the bids over here and the offers over here. So I actually have moved this from a layout perspective. So it's real easy to kind of drag these things from one to another. And I actually dragged this one too far, so I got to bring it back here. Here we go. Oh, look, I can move it all around. There we go. Now, I will show you here on the depth and sales. There's only a couple things here from a interesting settings perspective. I haven't really played around with a lot of these. I do set my auto center to 8 ticks just to keep things fairly centered. There's a lot of stuff here that's really about look and feel, and I haven't really messed with those too much. This alert tab, this is one that you are going to want to take a look at. The order overview depth histogram and order overview snapshot histogram, that's what controls that histogram over here on that left column. I love having this. I've made the ask volume color a little lighter. You can just use this slider and slide it back and forth and get the get your desired saturation on the color. If you click over here to the bid depth, I've also highlighted large bids. Anything over 2,000 gets highlighted, so you can see here this 2,031 is being highlighted. And I have the same thing here on the asks. So anything over 2,000. Actually, this 2,000 was on the ask, and I don't have any 2,000 on the bid. So it's a really excellent way to kind of highlight large bids and possibly any spoofing and anything else going on. So that's kind of what I've done to set up the Jigsaw tools. They're a little bit different between CL and ES, but hopefully that's something gives you some ideas on how you can set yours up and some of the parameters I use.